Good morning. Welcome to the webinar. I guess good afternoon. My name is Jean Saunders. I'm the account exec for member marketing. I've been on staff at Rotary International for almost 5 years. My work at Rotary has included developing and launching Rotary's public image campaign, People of Action. More recently, my focus has been on creating training and supporting clubs to tell their stories of local impact. I'm joined today by my marketing colleague, Isabel Price, and my colleague, Cesar Vaisoma. Let's get started. So just to get started, let's take a minute to review some of the logistics so you can fully participate. This may be a review for some of you, as I know you've been involved in these webinars before. You each have your own control panel on the right side of your screen that looks similar to the one here. You can use the orange arrow to open and close your control panel. To maintain the highest sound quality possible for everyone, we'll all be muted during the webinar. We encourage you to submit questions or other comments. Our staff here who are with me today in the room will answer your questions. So if you have a question, use the question box on your attendee control panel that's on the right side of your screen. Feel free to type in your questions as we're going along. The staff here will answer some of the questions as they come in, but others we may hold until the Q&A portion at the end of our session. You can also use the question box if you're having technical difficulties. Simply describe the problem you're having in the question box in your control panel, and one of us will assist you as soon as possible. So today, we're going to talk about Rotary brand and public image. We'll review what makes a brand strong and how we can protect and elevate the Rotary brand. So Rotary's public image. We'll talk about what it is, how our collective efforts to build a strong brand can benefit your club. We'll also focus on promoting your club as people of action, and then review some ideas for developing plans to promote your club. We'll also talk about some of the resources available to help. And we want to hear from you. Interspersed throughout the webinar, there'll be some questions, so get ready to participate. And for now, before we get started, please introduce yourself. If you could type your name into the question bar, that will let us know who is part of the webinar today. When we're talking about promoting Rotary or promoting your Rotary club, a good place to start is with our brand. Though it may be something that we all take for granted, our visual identity is one of our most valuable and powerful assets. There's a lot of meaning wrapped up in a logo, and the Rotary logo is certainly no exception. It's the visual representation of our identity and our values. It should communicate instantly who we are, and with repeated and consistent use, combined with our public image building activities, it builds recognition of who we are and what we do. So, thinking about brands in general, I want to focus for a minute on what makes them strong. We know a brand is much more than its logo. It's a perception. It's not just how we, the brand owners and brand loyalists, see the organization, but it's how others see us. Brands form an emotional connection and create a relationship with the public as well as those closest to it. A brand is a promise. It's a promise to all stakeholders of the unique value and experience the brand brings. A brand promise conveys the commitment the organization has made and is manifested in all of the interactions and all of the experience people have with the brand. A strong brand is distinct and has qualities that are ownable and differentiated from others. Finally, a brand is recognizable. So when those who aren't as close to the brand see that logo or the trademark, they understand immediately what the brand is about. So we know Rotary as a strong brand, and we appreciate the value it brings. Perception, emotional bond, distinct network, promise, recognizable. Let's review how Rotary stacks up against these key brand elements. Perception. So we know Rotary joins leaders from all continents and cultures, and we have developed an emotional bond with our brand because we know and appreciate what it stands for, and we know that Rotary lives up to the brand promise. So one of the many things that makes Rotary distinct is our ability to mobilize and tap into our network of 1.2 million members in communities around the world. Rotarians lend their expertise and mobilize resources to solve real problems. Ultimately, that's what sets us apart. We can be counted on to use our connections and experience to take action and create lasting change. So we're proud of the iconic visual identity we have. Who wouldn't recognize the Rotary logo? Before I move on to the next section, I'm going to ask a question, and I'd love it if you could type your answer into the question bar. So thinking about awareness of Rotary, what percentage of the general public in Kenya do you think are aware of Rotary? Do you think it's 50%, 60%, 75%? Tell us what you think. We'll just take a few minutes while you type in your answers into the question bar. Great. So it looks like a couple people have entered their thought. In Kenya, awareness, according to the research study that we did in 2015, 60% of the general public in Kenya are aware of Rotary. So what's the global awareness of our brand? Well, you might be surprised to learn that our brand awareness differs dramatically across the globe. Overall, on a global basis, our research revealed that about 3/4 of the public have heard of Rotary or recognize our logo. So in 60% of respondents in Kenya, that indicates a strong number and certainly indicates that there are opportunities to continue to grow the awareness of Rotary. So one of the other things we asked was awareness of Rotary programs in Kenya. You can see that awareness of our End Polio Now campaign is highest, about 47% of respondents are aware of that. 19% of respondents told us they were aware of a local Rotary club. So that showed us that we have significant opportunity to elevate our recognition of our brand and enhance the awareness of local Rotary clubs. What does the general public in Kenya understand about Rotary? We received a myriad of responses. So these statements on the screen are the ones that we heard most often from our respondents to that survey among Kenyans. These are similar to what we've seen in other markets in past surveys. So this tells us that if we're not actively telling the public about the value of Rotary, about the impact we make, the public can be left to their own devices. That can lead to misperceptions. So we've talked about our logo as being the visual representation of our identity and of our values. It really should communicate instantly who we are. And we know that with repeated and consistent use of that logo, along with all of our communications interactions with the public, we'll build recognition of who Rotary is and what we do, who your Rotary Club is and what you do. It's important to remember that Rotary's public image isn't just what we think of ourselves. It's what the people outside of Rotary think of us. An elevated public image has many, many benefits, but certainly for Rotary, they can be tangible. Increased understanding can increase our impact and expand our reach, meaning more members, more volunteers, more partners, more donors, and importantly, more participants. Although we know that about 60% of Kenyans are aware of Rotary, we know that just being aware of Rotary isn't enough to spark interest and spur engagement or involvement or inspire someone to consider membership. Increasing understanding will generate interest, which in turn will lead to engagement and advocacy. So to bridge that gap between awareness and understanding, we knew that we needed a simple, consistent way to talk about Rotary. And that's exactly what People of Action is designed to do, to help Rotary clubs talk about Rotary in a way that's simple, consistent, and importantly, very compelling. So to summarize, we know that Rotary's brand promise is to join leaders from all continents, cultures, and occupations to exchange ideas and take action in communities at home and around the world. And we value Rotary because we understand and appreciate the value it brings. But the public's understanding of Rotary is shaped by how we talk, how often we talk about Rotary. So we must tell Rotary's story to the public so their impressions are not made up of half-truths. You know who you are, you know what makes your club special, but to others outside of your club, outside of Rotary, no. People of Action. People of Action is who we are. It's part of our DNA. It's much more than an advertising campaign. It's how we present ourselves to those who don't know us. As I said, it was designed to help bridge that gap that we saw earlier between awareness of Rotary and understanding of who we are and what we do. And it's designed to help us present Rotary in a compelling and consistent way, and in a way that's interesting and relevant to the public. And it really supports Rotary's vision. Together, we see a world where people unite and take action to create lasting change across the globe, in our communities, and in ourselves. And importantly, it relies on clubs to tell your stories to your communities. With over 1.2 million members who can tell People of Action stories, they bring Rotary's vision to life in a way that people can understand, in a way that they can relate to. People of Action is for clubs. So now let's talk a little bit about those local stories. While all projects are important, some capture the essence of People of Action positioning more than others. Stories that show Rotary members making a difference in local communities is the hallmark of a good People of Action story. So here's a quick example of how clubs can use People of Action. This one is from the Rotary Club of Mercer Island, which is on near Seattle on the west coast of the United States. This is their tiny house project. Telling your People of Action story is a relatively easy process, and it's important to remember that it includes these elements. Start by identifying a local challenge. The Mercer Island Club focused on homelessness. They were inspired to do that because Seattle has the third largest homeless population in the United States. Then talk about how you work together to find a solution. So this club engaged members in their club around this issue, and then they sought a partner who was already doing work on homelessness. Next, describe how you took action to solve the problem. This club worked with their local partner, local low-income housing institute, and they built 10 tiny houses. And finally, and importantly, tell the community about the impact you made. These tiny houses not only provided shelter, they provided the community, and they provided hope. Then share this in any channel or through any vehicle at your disposal that's relevant to your community and who we are. It could be print, could be outdoor. And in this example, the Mercer Island Club used social media, and they used it very effectively. Here's an example of their post on the screen. Next step is to develop your plan. So let's move on to planning and thinking about how you're going to share your stories of impact with your community. Start by organizing a group. Ideally, you'll have people with marketing or communications experience in your group. To develop your plan, start by working through these questions. What do you want your audience to do? Do you want them to go to your website, come to an event, attend a meeting, follow you on social media, make a donation? What's the purpose of your communications? What do you want them to do? Then think about what channels you're going to use. Do you have a social media presence. Which social media channels do you use? Do you have a website? Do you have opportunities for paid advertising? Do you have opportunities for sponsorship? Do you have a blog? Are there opportunities for earned media, for public relations? Is this something you can put in a community newsletter? Sharing your story of impact on your website is an easy place to share and get started. Thinking about social media, as we saw in the Mercer Island example, sharing your stories on social media is a very effective way for Rotary clubs to promote their impact. So I know many of you heard from Kim Widlicki and Andy Sternberg about using social media for organic and paid campaigns. What other communication channels, print, broadcast, outdoor, or digital, are available to you? There's no one right answer. It really depends on what audience you're targeting and the budget you have for your promotion. Importantly, use your Rotary connections. Is there someone in your club, or is there someone you know who does advertising, is related to a media outlet that you can collaborate with to make sure your story gets out there? Don't overlook events. Are there opportunities for your club to participate in local events? Finally, what opportunities do you have to integrate your communication efforts across these channels? You know that as a consumer, seeing an ad in just one or a piece of content just once or twice isn't sufficient to really spark interest. If you want to convince your audience to take action, they'll need to hear about your club multiple times. And I can't stress enough, when you're developing your communication plan, it's important to have others inside and even outside your club help you with your promotion efforts. I have another quick question for you. In our next section, we're going to talk about resources to help promote your club as people of action. My question is, have you used your club people of action resources or templates on the Brand Center? We'll take just a second while you type your answers into that. Great, thank you. I want to apologize on our end. We're having a technical difficulty seeing what you're typing. So thank you for that. Again, apologies for that technical difficulty. We're not seeing what you're entering. We'll work on that. So moving along. So let's just take a quick look at where you're going to find the tools and resources to help you tell your story. Brand Center on My Rotary is a one-stop shop where you're going to find templates to create print and digital ads and create your posts for social media. On Brand Center, you're also going to find videos. They've been formatted for use both in length and format for social media. There are versions that have no voiceover, and there are scripts available on the Brand Center, so you can work with a local media company to record your own voiceover and customize the video end slate with your club name and web address. Additionally, you'll find 30 and 60-second versions so you can post on your club website if you like. So Brand Center is the home of our resources. Under People of Action, if you click on Learn More, you'll have access to all of the materials and the templates. Guidelines provides a very robust set of brand guidelines, as well as the People of Action guideline. Logos is where you can create your club logo. Many of you may be familiar with that. And in the ad section, we have the People of Action ads that have already been prepared. The templates allow you to create your own using your own photo. I want to highlight this one particular resource in the Brand Center. This is a tip sheet. It's a quick reference. There are 5 questions which are a nice guide for pulling out the essence of your story and impact. So if you go back to the example that we looked at Mercer Island, they were really answering these questions. Who's your audience? What are you trying to accomplish? How did you take action? What was your impact? And what do you want your audience to do? When you answer these questions, it really develops the plan for your advertising, the plan for your campaign. On the flip side of this resource, there are tools and tips for taking photos, taking compelling photos that fit with people of action. One of the things that we talk about is photos that really have stopping power. Photos that show your club members working in your community is really what stopping power is all about, because ultimately we want people in your community to be able to see themselves in their ad. As we wrap up the presentation, I'd like to leave you with this. We know Rotary is a strong brand, and we all appreciate the value it brings. And if we want the public to share our understanding, our love of Rotary, it's time to tell the people in your district and the world who Rotary is and the impact we make. When clubs in your district share stories with the public, stories that use powerful images and show how your efforts have a real positive impact on the people right here where you live, where you work, I have absolutely no doubt that needle is going to move when it comes to awareness and understanding of Rotary. And importantly, Kenyans will know we are Rotary and we are people of action. So thanks again for taking the time to listen to my presentation. We have time for questions from participants. So I'm just going to confer with my collaborators here in Evanston that as you type in your questions, we can see them, and then I will take them. So we'll just take a few minutes. If anyone has any questions, please type them in, and then we're going to work out the technical difficulties on our end so that we can see them as you're typing them. Can I mute myself? Great. Well, we're not seeing any questions come in. So I'll wrap up by saying thank you again. Thank you for taking the time out of your evening to listen. And if you have any follow-up questions, don't hesitate to contact us. If you need help, please reach out to us at pr@rotary.org. Thank you again. Good evening.